everybody, this is Andy with Two Perspectives Studio. I am the prop chef. I have a little bit different camera angle for you today and hoping that it helps you to see what I'm creating a little bit better. You'll have to excuse me if I sort of wander away from the camera that I'm supposed to be staring at because it's, like I said, it's a new setup and I never know what I'm going to do. If you're watching me on a replay, you can hashtag replay, let me know that you are here, and ask any questions you might have about today's project or anything associated with realistic fake foods. If you are here live today, you can give me a comment so that I know my comments are working. I'm going to pull this up on my phone over here so I can see. Looks like we might have a couple people on here. Let's see what we have. Maybe. There it is. Hi Jamie, how are you? So, tested out a new camera angle. I'm going to see how this does. This should get you up close and personal to the project rather than me. I'm going to try and just be present for the first few minutes of the video and the last few minutes of the video, and the rest of the time I think the camera should be pointed on the project up close and personal so that you can actually see what I'm doing, which has been an issue for some of the more intricate things that I try and show you. Hey Raymond, how are you today? It's awfully hot here. Is it hotter there than it is here, or are we hotter than you are? It's been like super hot, like close to 100 here for the last week. It's very warm, very humid today. How do you find my blog? That's a great question. It is thepropchef.com. It is just like you're searching for a web page. You can type it right into the bar just like you were searching anything else. Thepropchef.com. Hey Tammy, how are you? So today I'm doing a little something different that I don't normally do. I don't normally do a lot of whimsy stuff. I used to, but now it's like totally realistic. But I do have a few semi-whimsical food creations that I do keep selling on my Etsy shop. Hi Jenna. Jamie, by the way, this weekend, in case you or anybody else is interested, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Prop Chef stuff is going to be on sale again in the Etsy store. I'm going to do a post later today about that. You won't need a coupon. Feels like 107. Yeah, that's how it's been here. It's horrible. It's so hot, and it's like not even really into summer yet. So, holy cow. Need to find ways to stay cool in all this. And I keep looking at the wrong camera, I'm sorry. I'm not used to looking down at the camera. Anyway, I'm going to stop yammering on here, and I'm going to move my camera down so that you can see what and where and how and everything else that I'm doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This should not make anybody sick. I'm just moving the camera down. Now you'll get an up close and personal of the project that I'm going to be working on today, which, if I can keep it in the camera view, will be good. Bear with me here as I test out this new angle and try and get all the kinks worked out. So I do sell this little, it's a 6-inch plate with 7 little semi-whimsical fortune cookies on it. I sell quite a few of them. I am sold out at right now, and I've got orders for them, so I decided to go ahead and do this as a live today. I did some of these earlier. The clay is not dry. The drip on it is pretty much dry. I do put, come on now. I do put a little fortune in each one. How do I get that to come in here? Maybe not. Okay, it doesn't want to focus. This one says nothing is impossible. I do these little, do these on little pieces of cardstock. The one that I use is it's cardstock, but it's the template is for like the top of a file folder, and then you can just cut them out, and it's pretty easy. But I have them with glitter. These have little gemstones on them, you know, different. This is like a half blue, half regular fortune cookie. Once these are dry, which they're probably dry enough for me to do it now, I go back with a soft pastel stick. I usually use, this is a burnt orange is the one that I use for this. I don't know if my camera is actually too close and that's why it's not focusing. Hey Quincy, hey Eunice, and Marie. Hi Marie. So to shade these, all I do is sort of scratch off some of this soft pastel with an X-Acto knife, and I just make a little pile of it, and then I'll take a little brush, like a little makeup brush, and I'll just pick up some of that soft pastel, and I'll go right around and just do a little bit of the shading just to make it sort of look a little more realistic. Just along the edges and just a little bit along this top part, and it sort of helps it. Oops. Try not to squish it because the clay is still a little soft. But I'll just do those right around the edges, and it sort of gives it a little more baked appearance, just so that they look a little bit more on the realistic side. On the ones that are two-toned like this, I pretty much just do the side that is brown, and then I'll put a little red on the top. I don't do much on the pink side because it doesn't do much for it. So that's how I shade these. I prefer the soft pastels for the shading to the makeup, just because I haven't found a makeup palette that has, ooh, that's wet, that has the more realistic tones to it. And I prefer the soft pastel sticks that are the earth tones, and I feel like that gives me the most realistic result. But anything, I mean, if you have a good makeup palette that has more of the earth tones in it, and you want to make these and you want to shade it like that, that is perfectly fine. You can make these, make your little pieces of paper. Like I said, they're pretty easy to make on a computer. You can put any little saying that you want on there. I have probably 25 or 30 different sayings that I print off on mine, and I try not to duplicate it in the same order. Like I said, I do 7 at a time, and I try and make them all different for that one little plate. Hi Maricela. So I made some clay earlier. This is foam clay, which is something that I use it for different things, but mostly I use Model Magic for most of my realistic fake foods. I don't use a whole lot of foam clay unless it's like accessory pieces, but for this particular item I do prefer the foam clay to the Model Magic. And I mixed up, this is the cookie dough color. This one was from Primitive Pumpkin, and I added in some of Great Creations foam clay in the white, just to make it more of a fortune cookie color. And then I took, this is Great Creations cotton candy pink, and I added in some white just to make it a little more pastel-y, if that's a word, pastel-y. I did the same thing with the Great Creations light blue. I just added in some white just to tone it down a little. So I have those made ahead of time. Now to make the fortune cookies, I'll show you how I do all the different ones. I'm not sure if I can keep this in my view so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to be using a cookie cutter from one of those sets. It comes probably with 8 different cutters. This one is the 3.5 inch. I'm using the straight side on it. And I'm just going to take a little bit of clay at a time. You see I've got basically 7 different designs here that I'm going to make. And some of them are two-tone, like this one is half this and then half the pink. Same thing with this one, it's half the tan and half the blue. Now fortune cookies are pretty easy to make. It's the bending and folding that sometimes gets a little wonky, but it's, you know, usually not too bad. Once you get the hang of it, it's like nothing. I mean, you'll be able to do them lickety-split and no big deal. I try and keep the clay a little bit on the thicker side, and I know you guys are mostly experts with rolling out the foam clay and all that. I'm not. I try to get the bubbles out of it as best I can just so that my little cookies don't crack, and I do keep it a little bit thicker. You can kind of see on the edge here, it's probably about 1/4 inch of thickness that I try and stick with. So I'm going to cut a little of this out. This clay is extremely soft compared to the Model Magic, and I'm definitely not used to that. Model Magic is a lot different. It's a lot stiffer. Let's see if I can get 2 of these out of here without issue. And there is a ton of humidity in the air today, so I think it's being sort of extra sticky, but it's not terrible. So to make this plain one, I'm just going to take the round, which like I said, it's about 1/4 inch thick. I'm going to flip it over to where, I mean, this was the side that was down, so this has the flattest surface. I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to bend it in half, and I'm going to just bring it to where it touches, kind of like a enclosed taco, if you think about it that way. So I just touched right there end to end. Now I'm going to put my fingers, my 2 index fingers on each side, and I'm going to use my thumb, but you can actually use anything that this isn't going to stick to. And I have used like the edge of my pastry bag holder. You can use whatever you want. I tend to use my thumb. You get that underneath and you start to bend down these pieces like that until it comes around and you can kind of touch it in half. Now you don't want to enclose your little feet on the end. You want to keep that open, kind of like a little Pac-Man. So I just bent that around. Now I have 2 openings. I need to decide which end of the opening, what have I done here? I need to decide which end, you know, right or left, and depending on my plate placement, I do some on one side and some on the other. So before I close both of these off, I want to take one of my tags, decide which side I want it on, and then I want to close the clay right on there, and then I'll go back to the other side and close that one. And then I just knock a little bit of the air out of it to where it's a little more realistic. And there you have a little fortune cookie. You see how simple that was? It really is easy once you get the hang of it. And like I said, you can even use a little glass jar to help bend your cookie if you want to. I'll take this other one and I'll show you again. Turn it over to the flat side, bend it up, make it match right on the top. Use your fingers, and if you want to use, let me see if I can get this in the camera here. If you want to use a glass, all you do is push down, drag those pieces down, and then just lift it off the glass and join them together. Just don't join your little foot part together. And I'm lucky I didn't stick that in the water while I was doing it. Make sure you have an empty glass if you're going to try that. So then I just take another fortune, and you can make these say whatever you want. This one says, happiness is a choice. I just try and do some like little uplifting things. Some of the fortunes you get with fortune cookies are goofy. I'm not going to lie. Some of them are like totally goofy. But I mean, that's all there is to it. It's very simple. Now to make the two-tone ones, that's pretty easy too. I'm going to move these guys back up out of the way. I'll take some more of this. I try and sort of smush it down with my hand just in case there's bubbles in there. I'm like the bubble queen with clay sometimes. So just roll it out. I don't want it too thick, but I don't want it too thin either. So I think like 1/4 inch is pretty decent. So I'm going to cut another tan piece, and then I'm going to take my pastry blender or anything that you use to cut your clay with. I kind of recommend something that's long enough to where you can chop it all at once. I mean, if you're a really good cutter, an X-Acto knife would work for you. I am not, and I would make it look like an S if I was trying to do that with an X-Acto knife. I know I would. So I cut it in half and just sort of shimmy it back and forth just a little, and then just sort of flick it up and take them apart. Just so that it stays 2 half pieces. So I'll take some of my other color, because I have some that are blue and some that are pink. So I'm going to press this down, see if I can get rid of some of those bubbles. This blue is like seriously soupy. I probably should have left them out in the air for just a little while. The firmer the clay, the easier this is to do. If you have really wet clay, it's definitely harder. But I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm just going to half it, shimmy it back and forth just a little, and then just see if I can flip that up. And flip this one. So then I'm going to take 2 of these pieces and I'm going to put them right together. Now I do it from the end and just sort of press toward the other end. I don't just stick them both together. I'm not that talented with foam clay. I have to do it just a little at a time. And then I just sort of smooth it just a little bit to make sure. Now when you fold these, you want to fold vertically, not horizontally, to make it look right. So you want to flip it upside down, just like we did the other one, and bring it up, touch it to the top, get your fingers in there, and again, either bend over your thumb, like I'm sticking my thumb under here, Either bend it over your thumb or bend it over a glass or something that you have. And get one of your little sayings. This one says, love, be kind, repeat. I'm going to stick it on this side now. And go ahead and bring it down and join it together. And then just sort of deflate it. You want it to deflate more on the sides. Just get sort of that air pocket brought down to where it looks a little more like an actual fortune cookie. So there you have that. See, they're quick and easy to make. The decorating is the most fun for sure. I'll start at the end here. Bring it up together. Has anybody made fortune cookies before? I know I missed the memo on we're supposed to start Christmas in July. This is definitely not Christmas. But you know, it could be. You could make these like Christmas fortune cookies and do fun little sayings, fun little Christmas sayings. That would be adorable. But these, the only thing I try and do is to get those two colors to match up. I try not to get them wonky, which sometimes I do, but you got to do the best you can in this, you know. I think Christmas fortune cookies would be adorable. You could do them like with little peppermint stripes or polka dots. That would be totally cool. Maybe I should do some of those. This little saying says, nothing is impossible. And that is a fact. Okay. Now I'll do a couple of the pink ones and then we'll decorate, because that's the most fun. Well, I guess I need a solid blue one, don't I? Alright. Need one more blue. I'm trying to do the whole set here. It's funny, every time I do these, I can't ever remember what they all are. And I have to go by a picture. So I'm always selling out, and then it's like, oh gosh, what did I do again? My brain doesn't always remember what it's supposed to. This one was a little bit wonky, but I think I can still make it work. They're kind of forgiving. I mean, once you make a few, you get the hang of it and you can understand how to manipulate them back again. And you could make these bigger or maybe smaller. I think it would probably be a little harder to make them smaller, but you can definitely make them bigger. You could make these into ornaments if you wanted to do little Christmas ornament fortune cookies. That would be super cute. And you can put little hangers on them, hang them on your tree. Probably Halloween too. You could do Halloween cookies. That would be cute. Alright, there's the all blue one. I'm going to move him up here. Then I need 2 pinks and a pink and 2 pink and let's see. Hey Jan and Max. Jan, you should do these in Christmas. I was just saying they'd be cute for Christmas and Halloween. I don't know if anybody's working on Halloween this month, but if you are, Halloween fortune cookies. They could be orange and black and purple, and they could have like little spooky Halloween sayings. Or like trick or treat. That would be cute. Hi Dee. Oh, I got wonky again. That's alright. We're just going to press that down and we're going to smooth it out. That's one lovely thing I like about foam clay. because it's so easy just to smooth out. I mean, it is with Model Magic too, it just takes a little longer. So make sure that my edges aren't frayed up, and I'll flip it over, join the tops, put my finger in, just like a sealed up taco. I put my thumb underneath, there's my thumb, and then I'm just going to bend it, leaving those sides open, and then I put my fortune in. When I print these fortunes off, I leave space depending on what column I'm in on the paper. I leave space either on the one side or the other side, just so that they go into the cookie with a little bit of space on them, if that makes sense. Like some will have the, I guess I should use the word margin. Some have the margin on the left that's bigger, and some have the margin on the right that's bigger, depending on how I want to place it in the cookie, which side. That one I got off kilter just a little bit. Max just went home. Aw. I have grand dogs. I have 2 granddaughters, but they're both over 18, so they're not fun and cuddly anymore. But I have lots of grand dogs that I love. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get this one a little less wonky. I'm going to join it at the top, and then put my thumb underneath, curl it around, touch the back. I'll flatten one side after I decide which. This one says be the change. I like that one. It always reminds me of that Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror. I think that's the best song he ever did. I really like what that song says. If anybody else is a Michael Jackson fan, I guess you know what I'm talking about. If not, I guess you're like, yeah, I don't know that one. Okay, so now I need a pink and a tan. And then I think I have everything, right? This is the last one I need. And I don't think that was enough clay. Our power went out last night. We had one of those big thunderstorms come through. I guess it was like around 9:30. It hit somewhere close, and I got an email that our internet had been blown off again. They had it fixed by this morning, but our air conditioners zapped off, and the coffee pot zapped off, and all kinds of stuff went on. It was a lot of lightning, and then very hard rain. Alright, so I'm going to cut this one in half with my cutter. I'm just going to put my head right over the top of it to make sure that I get it pretty much even. And then I'm going to get a little more of this tan. And I'm going to cut one of those. And then we'll get to decorating these things. And because I mixed this clay up ahead of time, it was already pretty conditioned. So, because you didn't see me do that, that was done off camera. But I did condition it. So I'm going to split this guy in half too. And jiggle it back and forth. I didn't get that one quite on the money, but I think it'll work. Let's see. Those two together. And I'll put these two together. Smooth them. Make sure that they're really on there good. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that I've got it vertical. And I'm going to fold it up. I'm running out of room here. Fold it up, touch it right to the other one. And then using my thumb, bend it over, bring it down, just like that, like a little Pac-Man. If anybody remembers that game, is that still a thing? Do they still do Pac-Man? They must still do Pac-Man. Now let some of the air out. And there I have the pink and tan. And I got one more. Touch that. There's my child. My child with the big mouth. All right, Chad, I'm online. Chadwick Bentley. This one says, be the rainbow in someone else's cloud. I like that one too. Alright. Let some of the air out in that. Now we can decorate, I think. I think we have everything we need. What did I do with this bag? Oh, here it is. Let me put this back in the bag so it doesn't dry out. All right. So I'm going to move these guys up here. So you might be able to see just a little bit of it. I'm going to get my round piece. Get a piece of parchment and set these guys up here. Okay. Let's move these out of the way. So for the two plain ones, now I guess you can probably shade them now before you, so maybe I'll do that. I'll start with the shading this time. I usually do it after they're dry, but I think either way would be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the edges and the very tip, just like a regular real fortune cookie would be. It's a little sticky. That's all right. See, it gives them that little baked look. And I think that's kind of cute. I don't know why I never did just a whole, like, realistic fortune cookie plate, but I've always done them just these little whimsical ones, and people seem to like them, so I just keep doing them. But this is just about one of the only whimsical things that I really do in my shop. Everything else is pretty realistic. And I think you could probably do these with, I think ginger, the last time I did these, I feel like Ginger, Glitzy Creations by Ginger, may have tried these with her glitter foam sheets, but I don't remember if she had a good result or not. Because I have shown these before, but it's been a couple of years ago. I've shown these before on a live on how to make and fold them. Alright, so the shading on that is good. Now for these guys, they just get done with chocolate drizzle, so they're not any big deal. Now I'm using these slick paints for all of the decorations on here, just because it's super easy and super quick. I have to be careful though to avoid the paper, and I do this in sort of a diagonal is the word I'm looking for. Just avoiding that paper because I don't want to get the smudgeons on the paper. Hello, hon. I have my camera at another weird angle.
I see that. You're doing fine, though.
Well, thank you. So that's all I do with that. Just a little drizzle of the chocolate, and then I let that go. So for these pink ones, I like the colors of pink and mint together. So I have this slick paint in mint green. Give it a little shake. And then what I do with those is I put some just little colored sprinkles on it. Oh, look at that, it finally focused. So for these, they're just going to get some mint and sort of a diagonal. You can go straight across, I mean, it doesn't matter. Just try and get enough on that your sprinkles are going to stick. Let me find my sprinkles. I'm just using this little, these are the tiny, like the little half jimmies. They're the tiny ones. I think they work better to adhere to the slick paint. They're still kind of bouncing all over, but if you try and put the giant, like full-size jimmies on this, I don't know that you'd have a very easy time getting them on there. And I am not one to put sprinkles on with the little tweezer. That is not my thing. I am not a rhinestoner. None of that. That is too tedious and definitely not for me. I'm going to mess with that one. So sometimes the slick paint will stick together at the bottom. You can just take a popsicle stick or a needle tool or anything like that and just, you know, pop it off before it dries to where you don't have that weird string in the middle. So that's basically all you have to do to those. For let's see. Oh, I don't have another plain one for that. For this one, And I didn't do a plain one to do this. This part is fluorescent slick paint with some gems in it. I think I'm going to have to make another one of the brown ones to do that on, because I did not do that here. But maybe I could use this one. I don't know. For this one, I'm using these little, and I have no idea where I got these. I got them years ago. They're little flowers, like sort of rhinestone-y looking flowers, and there's all different sizes in there. I like, this is a neon plum color. I really like that on the pink. I think it's really super pretty. So I just put this on, and then I very carefully adhere a couple of these little flowers. I think I have, oh, I do have two. And then there's some really, really tiny ones, like that. And I'll put a tiny one just in one of these little areas. So that's what I do to those. For the blue, let me move this one up. For the blue one, I like purple. This is the violet purple. It's the lighter of the two colors that they make. I don't know what the darker purple is called, but this is the violet. So I just do that, and then I have some glitter, which is not anything that I hardly ever use, unless it's like the edible glitter I'll use on some of my stuff. So that one gets some glitter. And for these guys, I usually do yellow, because I think the yellow and the blue together is pretty. Now, if these were done like for Christmas, you could do red and green, you could do peppermint, you could do all kinds of things. They would be like super cute. And you can use a different kind of sprinkle if you don't want to go with these same ones, but for what I'm showing in my shop, this is what I do for these. And I think it's just cute. So the only other one that I don't have a cookie for is this fluorescent plum one. And I don't really want to use that. So let me do one more cookie, and I'll do that one. Don't have a lot of roll room here. Move my paint stack. So is anybody thinking about trying this? The tags, they say different things. One says be the change. One says believe you can and you will. One says live life from the heart. One says love, be kind, and repeat. One says nothing is impossible. Happiness is a choice. Change comes one step at a time. Be the rainbow in somebody else's cloud. That's one of my favorites. Alright. Let me get this last one on here. Coming up at 3 is the mother-daughter duo of Marie and Nicole. They're going to be on Marie's page, Great Creations Faux Cupcakes. have no idea what they're making, but it's usually something miraculous. So I flip this over, I cut it on this side, I flipped it over on this side, and then I'm just going to join the 2 points just right at the top, leaving the 2 spaces open. Put my thumb underneath and roll it down until you have that. I knew I had 1 tag left. I was wondering why I had 1 tag left. It's because I didn't make enough cookies. And then you press the 2 bottom parts together and then just let a little bit of the air out. And there we go. So for this last one, I use this fluorescent pink. I think it's a really cool color. And I use the paint to paint half the cookie. But I just do it sort of on the top and a little bit on the side. But I just sort of fill in this whole thing with this paint. This is something you could put on your gingerbread houses. You could do like mini fortune cookies decorated and put it on your gingerbread house. That would be cute too. So I painted half of this, and then I have some of these little clear rhinestone beads. And I just drop that into the slick paint. And then I have some of these little silver balls. And I use a couple of those and just sort of intersperse them just a little bit. Like so. And I think it makes a really cute, just a really cute little cookie. Now I'll go back after that one's dry and I'll shade that one because I didn't do that ahead of time. So that is how quick it is to make these little fortune cookies. And I think everybody should try it at least once. Try some Christmas ones. Try some Halloween ones. You could make birthday fortune cookies with little birthday sayings. These things are very popular for wedding favors, like little giveaways, and it'll have the bride and groom's name and the date, but it'll be a little fake fortune cookie that they make, and they'll do it in the colors. It's super cute. So yeah, try some fortune cookies. Alright, I'm going to bend up the camera back to me, I think. Maybe. There we go. Hi! Now you can see me again. So coming up at 3, I know I'm like 10 minutes, I'm ending 10 minutes early, but that's okay. So coming up at 3 on Great Creations Faux Cupcakes page, there will be Marie and Nicole. And they are the last ones for the day. Starting off our day is Jess from Jess's Custom Creations. Then Cece with Dragonflies and Hearts comes after her. Then Jan with Jan C's Designs. And then me. And then Nicole and Marie finish off the day. So that we are the Crafting Collective. We're here every Tuesday. If anybody has any questions or comments or anything on our project today, you can let me know. These are our little fortune cookies. So thanks for joining me. Go take a break before Marie and Nicole start up again, and I will see you again next Tuesday. If anybody needs anything from the Prop Chef materials for realistic fake baking, You can find those in my Etsy shop under the Prop Chef tab, and they will be on sale for the 4th of July weekend, so you can take advantage of that. And until next Tuesday, this is Andy, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.